Hello everyone and welcome to Channel 18 TV News. I'm Don Julian. In the news, Hopkins County, Sulphur Springs High School, college, and NFL legend Forrest Gregg passed away Friday at his home in Colorado Springs. He was 85. Wildcats football coach Greg Owens got to meet Forrest Gregg in Sulphur Springs at an NFL hometown awards ceremony and at a Chamber of Commerce banquet. And Coach Owens issued this statement Friday morning.
I mean, we hate to hear of his passing. I know he was struggling with health issues, and that was really one of the main reasons he was living in Colorado, to make it easier on him health-wise. So, but we were so sad to hear that, but I reflect back when you do these type things on the memories you had with him, and we weren't great friends, but I got to know him well when he came for the chamber banquet, and he was also honored through the NFL. I can't recall their tour of legends, really, basically what it was, and hometown award. And so that we received a plaque out of that for our community and our school, but got to have him just kind of come and visit with us and hear him talk. And he and I got to a lot of one-on-one talks, and just to hear about coaching from the NFL to the SMU. Those are things I kind of knew about but really didn't understand until I got to sit down with him and just understood that guy brought back SMU from a dark period. You know, and it wasn't going to be easy, and he knew it wasn't going to be easy, but that was the right guy for that job. And I really saw that at one of those banquets, one of these meetings we had with them. A lot of his former players from SMU came, and man, you talk about him just getting lit up and excited to see those guys, you know, and just spend some time with them. And it was really a special time for him to be able to do that and to hear him there. Now, I did invite him, had opportunity. I mean, how long do you get a Hall of Famer in your midst and get to talk to him in that? I had him sit down and share with our students, my athletes at the time. Well, I didn't know how it was going to go. Coach was older at that time, but he came in, he sat down, and I'm telling you, as soon as he started to talk, his eyes lit up. There was a gleam in his eye, and his voice changed. And I mean, there was an energy, just like he was back in the old days, talking to his old teams, his teammates, and his college players. So it was really special. I told some guys this morning, one of the things that happened in that meeting, as soon as he started talking, his phone went off. He reached in his pocket, pulled out his phone. He said, "Well, hello, Mr. President." And I mean, all of us, our eyes just lit up. Mr. President, what in the world? But you just kind of got to see his humor. He never said any different. And he said, "Okay, thank you and goodbye." And then he later told me that was actually his wife. I don't think he ever told the kids that, so they're like, "Oh my gosh, this guy's got a direct line to the president." And so, you just kind of saw how he could interact and his charisma and how he was just special like that. When they had the opportunity, I've talked to his wife probably more than anybody, email a little bit, in the last few years or whatever. But I would call Coach and just, we'd have a conversation. "Coach, what do you think about this or that?" And it was just some good times just to visit and get some wisdom from him. But to see and for us to really know the story then, of how he kind of grew up here when he came and kind of told that story of living, over here in somebody's house and somebody's garage and then where he ended up in the NFL Hall of Fame. It's just kind of a thing of legend. And that was just kind of a special time. So excited, to get to know him. You think about those guys, but really to sit down and spend some time. That's just a special group too. Just a tough guy, just hard. But some great memories, and he was able to verbalize those and share those. And he's a guy from a high school player, multi-sport athlete, goes to college, he plays, goes to NFL, coaches in the NFL, coaches in college. I mean, what a unique story. What a great story. He impacted a bunch of lives, and it's good for us to sit back and remember and to honor him. And again, we're praying for his wife Barbara and their family. And I know it's a hard time, but he had a life well lived.
Our children grew up in a lot of different places. Being a player and a coach, you're liable to move around, and more than likely if you stay in one place, they don't care about football or any of that. The greatest coach in the world. But when we had our children talking about, like parents talking about their children, what should we do to try to make their life better? And I couldn't move them to Sulphur Springs, but nevertheless, we talked about it. And we decided, since I was a professional athlete, that we would not push our children in sports. Now, You notice I said we. This lasted until Forrest Jr.'s first year in Little League. Get this picture in your mind. Little League played 5 innings. The ball. Bottom of the 5th. Forrest Jr. is up to bat. 2 men on bases, 2 outs, and they're 2 runs behind. Forrest Jr. had struck out every time during the game. Down to the wire. His mother jumps up and yells, "You little rascal, you'd better hit this one." Bang, he knocked it right out of the park. Rounded third base and came home. His teammates were swarming him at the home plate. And I was thinking to myself, I said, there's got to be a lesson in there somewhere. and I thought, where does this fit? Barbara had been listening to Coach Lombardi talk. That if a gentle push doesn't work, demand. So that's kind of the way it was.
An Arkansas couple was arrested Thursday night after throwing more than 13 pounds of methamphetamine out of a car window while trying to evade Sulphur Springs Police Lieutenant Eddie Moon. Lieutenant Moon said that he saw a car pass him on I-30 eastbound at mile marker 122, and he said he noticed that their license plate light bulb was so dim that it did not provide enough light to illuminate the license plate from 50 feet away. Lieutenant Moon said as he drove to catch up to the vehicle, the driver took the 123 exit onto Shannon Road and continued east. He said the vehicle was being driven at 65 miles an hour along the service road. Lieutenant Moon said he later used radar to determine that the vehicle was traveling at 54 miles an hour in a 45 mile an hour zone, so he activated lights and sirens to initiate a traffic stop. He said the car slowed down but then accelerated through the Shannon Road and South Broadway intersection, running a red light. Lieutenant Moon said while he chased the car, he noticed a large amount of contraband that appeared to be narcotics being thrown from the vehicle. He said he alerted other officers. Sulphur Springs Police Sergeant Schufeld recovered 3 one-gallon Ziploc bags and 2 other baggies containing a crystal-like substance believed to be meth. The pursued vehicle was finally stopped on the right shoulder of the Bill Bradford Road overpass on I-30, and 2 people were arrested. 21-year-old Francisco Guillen Campos of Little Rock and 28-year-old Mary Wooten of Hensley were both charged with possession of 400 grams or more of a controlled substance and with tampering with evidence. Guillen Campos was also charged with evading arrest. Wooten was also found to be wanted in Tarrant County for possession of less than 28 grams of a controlled substance. Bond for Campos Guillen was set at $100,000 for possession of the controlled substance and $25,000 each for evading arrest and tampering with evidence. Bond for Wooten was set at $100,000 for possession of a controlled substance and $250,000 for tampering with evidence. Saltillo High School will be presenting its one-act play, The Effect of Gamma Rays on Man-in-the-Moon Marigolds, in a public performance Monday at 7 p.m. at the Main Street Theater in downtown Sulphur Springs. Admission is free, but you must have a ticket, and you can get those tickets at Saltillo High School. Donations will be accepted Monday night. The play advanced to district and by-district levels, and then the play made area competition, making history for Saltillo High School. Along the way, the play earned 11 acting and technical awards. Darren Bilyeu is Saltillo ISD's music and theater coach.
This is Volunteer Week at Christus Mother Frances Hospital in Sulphur Springs, and with us is Sherry Moore, who is the volunteer coordinator among many of the hats that she wears.
I've done patient experience since 2003 for the hospital, along with a couple of other hats. So my hats now are I do patient experience, I coordinate the volunteers, I'm responsible for community benefit, and I'm responsible for something called the 1115 waiver, which is hard to explain to anybody. And then I'm the representative for governmental advocacy for our hospital in Northeast Texas. So multiple varied hats, and kind of juggle a lot of different tasks most of the time. So.
And you're connected also with the chaplaincy there, right?
Yes, and I also coordinate the volunteer chaplains. So we have 5 that volunteer, and so there are pastors in our community that don't mind being available for us to call them. And actually, we just added a 6th gentleman that's a retired Nazarene pastor that moved back here, grew up here, was born and raised here, and we kind of ran into each other one day at the hospital, and so he's starting to help us as well. So a lot of exciting things happening around that. I was telling you when we were kind of visiting before the show that in July we will have a chaplain that will be working 20 hours a week. The foundation at Mother Frances in Tyler, Christus Mother Frances in Tyler, has graciously given our hospital a grant for this position, and so there'll be someone that will be here 20 hours a week. They'll kind of split some of their time. They'll be at Winsboro as well some, and they'll be visiting patients and things of that nature. And hopefully that little small hat will get passed off to that chaplain that will be working about 20 hours a week. So, but I do coordinate the volunteers now, and I think
this is Volunteer Week.
And this is Volunteer Week. Yes, it is Volunteer Week. It is always the second week in April, and so we historically have always done a luncheon for the volunteers. And due to some different activities this week, we're actually doing it next Thursday. And so they're going to have a combined meeting, and we do a little bit of refresher orientation for them. And then we always provide lunch. And what we've done the last few years is we come up with a menu, and a lot of people at the hospital volunteer to cook a dish. And so we do a little bit of home cooking for them, just a little way to say thank you. And we'll do their orientation and that type of thing. And so they have officers. Our president is Wanda Gallion. Our vice president is Jim Skaggs, and then our secretary treasurer is Ann Hudson. And so they meet and do the business of the auxiliary. They meet about 4 times a year, so that's their process. But they've been around a while.
I see. And the volunteers do a lot of things at the hospital. Maybe that's behind the scenes.
Yes, they do. They, for years, they put together the charts, not the charts, but the packets that our patients received. And that's changed, so they don't do that anymore, but they do the OB packets that go to our new moms that are going to deliver at our hospital. But they're at the popcorn machine, they're at the front desk. We have some that work in the nursery area and do some things behind the scenes that people don't see. Everybody thinks when you say the nursery, they're going to get to hold babies all the time, but that's not what they do. They typically help do some different things in the background, clean isolates and do different things of that nature. And then we have some that are at our outpatient desk registration, and we have, of course, the gift shop. So the auxiliary started actually, and I brought myself a few notes so I don't forget the dates, but the auxiliary started actually in February of 1961. So they are 58 years old now, and there was a group of women that met at the women's Women's Building, and Dr. Bird Longino came and spoke with them, and they made a decision to start an auxiliary. And so originally when it was started, there was an arm of it that had to do with nurse aides, and so they did some different nursing type tasks, but the volunteers from the community were not involved in that piece. And so there was some definite interesting things when they first started. Our gift shop is named for Johnny Masters, who was one of our first volunteers. And so our gift shop's called the Johnny Masters Gift Shop. And what most people don't know, we don't want to compete with our businesses that are in town, but we do sell lots of things in the gift shop for people that are at the hospital and maybe want to pick up something for someone that's in the hospital. We work with all the florists in town, and we have a florist of the month, and so they make a donation back to the auxiliary, and the flowers are fresh flowers from the different florists in town. And so we alphabetically rotate, and it works real well. They do a great job of providing us a service that we could never do ourselves. And so the hospital built this great area and allows us to have it. And so, sometimes if you want to pick up a gift and you want to contribute and help the auxiliary, just popping in out there is a good place to pick up some things that, a little bit different and unique that you could find. So
you are right. And it never fails that when I need a gift and just a memento, I look around town and don't find it, I can go to the gift shop.
Right.
Somehow the perfect thing is there.
Yes, we do. We carry cards, and if I need flowers for people in town, I drive to the hospital and buy the flowers from the volunteers, and take them to whoever I need to take them to, because they're gorgeous and they do a great job. Whoever is the florist of the month. So, but yes, so we use the money from the sales in the gift shop and a couple of other sources of income that they have. We use that money. They give every year between $25,000 and $35,000 in scholarship requests for our hospital employees and or department requests. So a department may want to do something and offer something to their patients, but they didn't budget for it. It's something that's unexpected. And so they will ask the volunteers. There's a form they fill out and they submit a request. And typically 95% of those times those requests are almost always granted. One of the bigger requests they did one year was they furnished new furniture for the entire ICU, and that was close to $15,000. And so they've done some bigger department requests, but with the foundation being available now, there being so much success around the foundation, they tend to do the smaller things, that the smaller requests that come forth. And so we just recently purchased at really Mr. Harvey's request, who's our CEO and president, we purchased 2 charging stations, because people tend to get to the hospital and don't have the stuff to charge their phones or tablets or whatever they may be trying to charge. And so we installed 2 charging stations, one in the front area by the day surgery area and then one back by the emergency room. So trying to meet the needs of people as we hear those kind of requests. So those are the kind of things that they can actually do. They've actually given to the Lights of Life and the Gala. Since the inception of the Lights of Life, they've given $115,000 to that entire campaign. They were the original underwriters of the Lights of Life campaign when we had the first one in 1995. They were the original, or I guess 96. They were the original underwriters of that campaign. And the volunteers, along truthfully with Carriage House Manor and Arvis Tanton and his team, they were the 2 underwriters that actually started and helped fund that very first one. And there were other people that came on board and were super generous, but the volunteers were basically a foundation from the very beginning, giving anywhere from $5,000 to $10,000 towards the Lights of Life. And then when it became the Gala, that same thing. So we have right now about 40 volunteers. I would love to tell you that we could use some more because we can. The gift shop is always a challenge. We like to have 2 people in there, and sometimes that's hard to do. So if people are at home and they have 4 hours they would love to give, we would love to have them. They typically work from 8 to 12 or from 12 to 4.
Okay.
We do provide them lunch. If they are coming either time, they're welcome to eat lunch. And we have husband-wives teams. The husbands typically do the popcorn and the wife may do something else, but we have husband and wife teams that work various areas of the hospital. So pretty successful doing that. We will kick off the junior volunteer program. I have to limit that to about 12 students just because I could have one year I had 24, and I thought I was going to lose my mind, to be truthful, because that was a lot of kids to keep up with. So we typically limit it to about 12 students. Just gives us an opportunity to work with them a little bit more.
Is that for high schoolers?
It's for anyone. You have to be 14 years of age. You have to have completed the 8th grade and be going into the 9th grade, but you have to be 14 for sure. And so they do various things and help the adult volunteers or the senior volunteers as well. So
that's great.
So I can send applications out or whatever.
So many good things going on at our hospital here in Sulphur Springs. We are very happy to have it. And before we have to go, and we don't have too much time left, you've seen a lot of changes in your 24 years.
I have. Lots of wonderful changes. Beautiful gardens that we never had. Decor of the hospital kind of gets emotional when you think about all the things that you have seen. Women's Pavilion wasn't there at all when I came. And so, there's been lots and lots of changes, lots of wonderful changes. And I have to tell you, the change that I love the most now is the fact that we can openly in every one of our meetings start with a reflection and a prayer. And the fact that we have prayers that are overhead every morning and every evening. The fact that we have nurses that don't hesitate to stop and pray with their patients. Did we pray before? Yes. But now we can pray, and it's very much, our faith is very much out there. It's very much open. The mission statement is probably the best one I've ever heard in my life. It's to extend the healing ministry of Jesus Christ. And since I love the Lord, and I have total faith and confidence in him, it just has been a great fit for me personally. And so it's been a wonderful 24 years. I'd like to say I'm going to have another 24, but realistically that's probably not going to happen. But it has been a wonderful, wonderful ride. Lots of great CEOs I've worked for, lots of wonderful CNOs, and we have a great team now. Mr. Harvey and Mr. Lofquist and Anita Sanderson, they all do a phenomenal job, and we have a phenomenal team, and we have a lot of longevity at that hospital.
Well, and part of a very important team, the volunteers,
yes.
Sherry Moore, and she's here because this is Volunteer Week.
It is Volunteer Week.
And she and I always get to catch up on our grandchildren.
Yes, we definitely have to catch up on our grandchildren.
We share pictures, etc.
That's right.
Thank you so much, Sherry, for coming in today.
Thank you for having me.
And for all that you do for us out at Chris's Mother Frances.
Thank you.
3 Sulphur Springs High School athletes signed letters of intent to play sports in college on Friday. Sulphur Springs News-Telegram sports editor Don Wallace and I talked with Wildcats football players D.Q. Pitts and Jermon Bryant Amos, and with Lady Cats track athlete Abby Beggs. Tell us how you and RPA got together.
Well, I put my highlights on Twitter, and Coach Reggie had DM'd me on Twitter and was talking about he wanted me to come visit. So I went on the visit, and I liked it. I liked it, the school and like the workout plans and the surroundings. It's like a good environment, so I just signed there.
Get a chance to play at the next level with some football and then get a bigger gig, it looks like.
Yes, sir.
For that.
Yes, sir.
What position you going to play?
Outside linebacker and receiver.
Okay. All right. You're going to play both of them, huh?
Yes, sir.
Try anyway, okay. So what ultimately, what would you like to do in college? What you want to major in and all that?
Well, I will want to weld. Welding is like my plan. I've been welding since my freshman year.
Will you do any returning or that kind of stuff? Or they talk to you about that?
I'm going to do kickoff return. I kind of laid off on punt return because when I got hurt. But yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Of the two positions, is either one of maybe your favorite? Do you like to hit or be hit? I guess.
Well, I like to hit. It's better to hit than get hit.
Do you feel like your game will translate well to the college for the speed and everything from the college game?
Oh yes, sir.
What did they like about your clips and stuff? Did they talk to you about anything in particular?
That was like, I'm like shifty, I move well, and like I got speed and I can hit.
All right. What's your height and weight? What do you think? Did it say anything about you need to put on some weight or anything?
Not really. I already got on.
What's your height and weight now?
I'm 6 foot. I weigh 175.
Okay.
Congratulations for your opportunity.
Thank you.
We hope for the best for you.
Yes, sir.
How did it come about for you in RPA?
Well, I was just posting my highlights on Twitter, and I was getting a couple offers from some other schools, and then DQ had told me about them. So, and then all of a sudden, once he told me about them, then they kind of texted me, and then it just came along. And then I took that offer because it was kind of close to home, and it was a good college, and I could start off somewhere and get bigger, get smarter, and work my way up from there.
Now, you're a versatile guy. Obviously, you can punt the heck out of the ball, and you really came on in offense as a receiver last year. Are they looking at both of those things?
Yes, I'm. Right now, I'm probably going to play punter and receiver.
Oh, good. Okay. Any preference for you, or just want to be on the field, I guess, right?
Just want to be on the field and showing what I can do.
What's ultimately major? What would you like to get out of college?
I just want to really get my education, and then if I get my education and something happened to me, then I know I can fall back on something.
Sure. Okay.
So you're looking forward to maybe playing a junior college schedule, then maybe go to a bigger school?
Yes.
You think that's a good opportunity for you?
Yes.
Plus, it doesn't count against your 4 years. So you
No, it doesn't.
Still got 4.
Yes.
It's a good deal.
Pretty excited about it? I see that.
Yes, sir.
And getting to be up there with DQ, that helps too. Having somebody.
Yes. Getting to be up there with somebody I know, me and him can room together and probably get to know more people easier and quicker.
That's great. Congratulations.
Thank you.
How Indiana Tech came about for you?
I was on a recruiting website, and I put all of my best throws on there, and the coach sent me an email saying they're interested in me, and we just went from there.
What kind of track program do they have?
They have one of the best in the NAIA.
Okay.
Their men are ranked number 1, and the women's are ranked number 2. So they're very good.
Where is it in Indiana?
Fort Wayne.
Fort Wayne, okay.
So about 2 hours north of Indianapolis.
Do you like it up there?
It's very cold.
I imagine.
But yes, the campus has a very homely feeling. There's a lot of programs for athletes to make sure their grades stay up and everything. So.
Are they looking at shot and discus for you?
I'll be doing shot, disc, hammer, javelin, and weight throw for them.
Oh, good.
So.
Wow, everything.
Yeah.
What's your favorite out of all those throws?
Discus and javelin.
Okay. What kind of major would you like to have?
My major is biology, and my minor is humanitarians.
Okay. What would you like to do?
I would love to go to medical school and do Doctors Without Borders.
All right. Very good.
Pretty excited about the changes as far as getting to do other events and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Are those other things you train with too, the hammer and the javelin?
Yes, I have a private track coach as well as Coach Meskerman that I work with about 3 times a week, just to make sure I'm where I need to be before I leave for college.
That's great. So you looking forward to maybe the college level of the competition and all the NAIA guys that are going to be.
Yes, I am super excited. The coach is super excited. What me personally I can bring to the table, and just the whole team aspect is really good.
Any other schools that you were considering, anything closer to home or anything?
The closest school I was considering was in Kansas, McPherson College, but it just didn't work out for me personally. It just didn't work out for me and my level of comfort. So, yes,
going. You go where you like it. Yeah.
I mean, 1,900 miles from home is not ideal, but that's where I felt comfortable.
All right.
Maybe they'll let you do some announcing of games. Little PA
I got a job up there. They already sent me because I'm in the work study program. I'm the softball manager for them. So.
Oh, good. Well, good.
So I'm their student manager. So.
All right. Very good. Well, best of luck with that, Abby.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
That's Channel 18 TV News. I'm Don Julian. Thank you for watching, and so long, everyone.